Chuck, we're going to have to leave it there. Chuck Howitt in Kitchener in Ontario. Thanks very much for talking to us on BBC News. The Blackberry buried but not forgotten.
I'm Laura Trevelyan in New York City, and this is BBC World News America. China puts yet another city in total lockdown after 3 new COVID cases are found. With the Winter Olympics a month away, the government's going for a zero COVID policy. Meanwhile, the US sees more than 1 million new COVID cases in the past 24 hours, setting a global record for daily infections. In the UK, hospitals are struggling to handle the surging COVID cases. We have a special report from our health editor.
Wow. It's
wonderful.
Yeah.
Plus, our correspondent takes the G-force test in a South Korean fighter plane as she reports on the country's defence spending spree. Welcome to World News America on PBS and around the globe. Happy New Year. We begin tonight in China, where authorities have put an entire city under lockdown after finding just 3 cases of COVID-19. All of the people were asymptomatic. Now to the COVID situation in the UK, where the Prime Minister says he hopes to ride out the wave of Omicron infections without a lockdown, despite warnings that the country's hospitals are under mounting pressure. Boris Johnson says most of those in hospital are either unvaccinated or haven't had a booster jab. Our health editor, Hugh Pym, has more. Lawyers for Britain's Prince Andrew have been trying to convince an American judge to dismiss the sexual assault civil lawsuit against him. They say his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, can't sue because of damages she accepted in 2009 from the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein in return for dropping her claims against him and any other potential defendant. In other news now from around the world, Japanese car manufacturer Toyota has overtaken General Motors as the leading seller of cars here in the US. GM had been king of US auto sales since 1931, when it took the #1 spot away from Ford. This shake-up comes after a shortage of crucial computer chips plagued car makers in 2021. The world's #1 tennis player, Novak Djokovic, has confirmed he'll defend his Australian Open title after receiving a medical exemption from being vaccinated against COVID. The tournament begins on January 17th and all players and staff must be vaccinated or have an exemption. The tennis star had previously declined to reveal his vaccination status. You're watching BBC World News America. Still to come on tonight's programme. Selling the songs of David Bowie. The rights to his musical catalogue have been bought for millions of dollars. We'll have the story. A weekend curfew has been imposed in the Indian capital Delhi as COVID-19 cases, largely driven by the Omicron variant, are surging. The BBC's Yogita Lamai has more from Mumbai. Let's go to South Korea now, which is under the US defence umbrella. But recently, the country has been spending more on its own military. Neighbouring North Korea is often testing long-range missiles. So in 2021, South Korea tested missiles of its own. Our correspondent Laura Bicker spent time alongside South Korea's Air Force and sent this report. Laura Bicker living the story there. Now to the estate of the singer David Bowie, who has sold his entire catalogue to the Warner Music Group. Reports say the price paid was more than $250 million. Bowie, whose hits included Heroes and Let's Dance, died 6 years ago. The BBC's Tim Allman has the story. And before we go tonight, we have the story of a rather unusual protest in Chile. Beekeepers were protesting outside the presidential palace in Santiago, demanding government action over a drought that's hurt Chile's honey production. And with the beekeepers came the bees, thousands of them. When the protest was over, 4 beekeepers were detained and several police officers were stung by those bees. Ouch. Laura Trevelyan, thanks for watching.
Hello there. The first few days of 2022 were very mild.